The real life version of you doing the theme song. You're a superstar now.
Can you give me a beatbox?
Dun, 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 dun. Love it.
Okay. Welcome to the Damaged Goods podcast with myself, Jess Robert, and recording artist
Ill Vibe.
Ill Vibe.
I just Shark Tanked it and gave my name.
Ill Vibe. Say it at the same time.
And we are
Damaged Goods. This is our third episode, and you know what they say about third episodes?
Death Comes in Threes.
Sure, yeah. I think that's what they say. Quick thank you to 416 Coffee Company. I tried their longest road roast, which was amazing, but you can order all of their other flavors as well at their website, which is 416-coffee.com. That's 416-coffee.com.
You're so good at that.
A big thanks as well, as usual, to lyricvids.com, the web's #1 lyric video animation company. Today, our guest is...
Nobody.
Nobody. One is... No, I guess two can be as bad as three. One, yeah, sure.
Because you're the loneliest number since the number one. I smoked my voice so low.
Yeah, that was so low.
My voice didn't used to go this low. Let's see how low it can go. Ready?
Ooh. I want to sit on the speakers and have an orgasm right now.
Yeah, that's what we do. That's our foreplay.
Yeah, he just hums into a microphone.
I just low voices right directly into your vagina. That's what we do. That's the low down.
Yeah.
Tips: if you have a low voice out there and you're not using it for this, you're missing out. So tonight, if you're noticing, I'm actually drinking water, not straight vodka. For the first time, I'm not drinking on the show, although you are.
I am. I feel like an alcoholic now, being the only one.
We just had a little bit left of your box of wine. And so I figured instead of wasting it, that's the rest of the box of wine here in your glass. And so I'm drinking water. And the reason I'm drinking water is because, not because I don't want to drink, because I love drinking all of the time. And I enjoy drinking on the podcast, and drinking while talking is my favorite. But we're about to leave on a trip tomorrow. And this particular trip in the past has been really alcohol heavy. We drink.
Yeah.
Like every day.
We go in.
So the trip in question is our trip to California that we leave in like just over 24 hours from now for like 12 days. This is my 5th year doing it, and I think your 3rd.
My 3rd, yeah.
Yeah. It's like an annual thing we do every winter. And really what it is it's a music tour for me, for Ill Vibe. In this case, we're promoting my album that's coming up, Anti-Gravity. But also, it's kind of more than that. And like you and I know that like the performance and like the shows is really like, I wouldn't say a small part of it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that I would go as often if there was no shows and none of that stuff.
It facilitates, is that the right word? It facilitates the rest of the tour, which is about, I don't know, the comedy scene in California. Totally. It's about the tour documentary that I shoot called Tour Love. That's basically, I follow them around. And
Tell the good people what it is.
Tour Love is a docuseries where I follow around recording artist Ill Vibe, shooting all the shooting the tour life and all the shenanigans along the way. So that's the official synopsis of Tour Love.
Yes. So my favorite parts of Tour Love are not Tour Love, but touring in California. I'm actually pulling all these joints out so I can actually turn this thing into an ashtray. It's the lifestyle stuff. Because, and we talk about this all the time, so it's really fun to kind of share it on the podcast, is that I think about these tours as kind of like circumventing to what I really want. So yeah, I'm putting work in the music industry, and we work really hard on the podcast, and we make videos, and we're busting our butt all day. And why do I do that? I do that so I can spend more time traveling and going to amazing places and having amazing times. Well, along the way, there's little ways that you can kind of cut to the chase and do the thing that you're working so hard for, like now. And touring is one of those, as long as you do it properly. Because I know some people will tour and it's like shows every single day. and you really burn yourself out. And by halfway through the tour, you're sick and it's like you have no voice. And that's not how we do it. Right?
Right.
Like we go see stand-up comedy shows, met Louis C.K. and Hannibal Buress and Fortune Femster and Tony Hinchcliffe and Brian Redband and so many of our favorite podcasters and comedians. Because we go hang out by the comedy clubs. We go kick it in Hollywood. We go tourist it up down by the beach for sure. And none of that stuff is what you think of when you think rap tour. You know, I think
totally,
because the rap shows are fun, but the rap shows are between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m.
Yeah,
and then we crash out, and then the next day is like the world's our oyster, and we're in California, and we've got 2 days till our next show in some cases.
For sure. We talked about something interesting the other day. I believe you said it was Joe Rogan who was talking about it, and you said, "How is the Comedy Store not more like not way busier than it is?"
Yeah.
Like I'm always shocked that we go there and we're hanging out with like these like celebrities that are like our favorite people who we've been listening to for years, that everybody knows their name, you know what I mean? And we go there
Bill
and there's
Burr
like 20 people on the
Theo
front
Von.
porch area, you know what I mean? Like I'm just surprised that it's not way more packed than it is.
I think comedy's definitely having a resurgence right now. Netflix is largely responsible. HBO has done their fair share. Comedy Central putting in that good work over the years. And I think more than ever, there's comedy fans. There's more people like us than there ever was. And now I can't speak for the 70s. Sometimes the old school comedians will be like, I can't imagine what it was like in 76 when, well, I can't speak to that. I wasn't around when Richard Pryor was doing his thing and the world was discovering it for the first time.
Yeah.
But it's certainly having a resurgence, right? There's more celebrity comedians. I've heard a lot of the comics say that podcasting is largely responsible because they've all got these podcasts that have kind of made them celebrities again.
Yeah.
You know, the Bobby Lees of the world and Tiger Belly helps kind of put him back on the map. And then you're like, hey, I'd love to see that guy live. So I think that's going to change.
So you think it's on the up where there might be a point where we go there and we can't get into our favorite show because it's sold out.
And
all
right
that
before
stuff.
we went, it seems that from the stories, the infamous stories from the comics, that they were having somewhat of a dark period in that the lady who started the store, Mitzi Shore, got old, got senile, passed away. I say all those things respectfully. And then the people who took over weren't great. And they took a little bit of time to kind of get to the... You know what it's like when a company's under bad management, right?
Yeah, of course.
And so the Comedy Store was under bad
to be honest,
management for
even
a little while.
new management, you know what I mean?
Sometimes
like it's
yeah.
hard. Like, I don't know the situation at all.
But when I started
sometimes
going,
that happens. There's a bit of a learning curve with the new management, and then it's not perfect for a couple years, you know?
When I took over Little Caesars Pizza on Bayfield Street in 1999, it took me a minute to get that delivery schedule correct. Shout out to all my Little Caesars homies from 1999. But I think it's under good management now. There's superstar celebrities that hang out there, a la the Joe Rogans of the world, who actually just hang out there, and he's a superstar. The man reaches 90 million people a week or something with his podcast. And so, yeah, it's kind of like a hotbed. And in the last 5 years of me going, it has really felt busier and buzzier and more touristy than it did.
For sure. And it definitely has. It's just, to me, it's just shocking that, for example, let's say like Joe Rogan, when we go there, he announces that he's going to, do a night or whatever. We could probably get in. You know what I mean? It's not like it's not like it's going to be crazy sold out instantly and we're not going to be able to get in. Whereas if there's a stand-up show, do you know what I mean? Like in Toronto, for example, it's like it's gonna sell out, or it's gonna, you know what I mean?
And a lot of those nights, it's not just one. There'll be
just seems very
13 or
casual.
14. There'll be 13 or 14 superstars back to back.
And maybe that's why. Maybe people in the area are like, I don't need to come tonight because he's gonna be there next week as well. You know what I mean? So it's just
that is
not
what it
as
is.
crazy.
My friend Emily
Yeah.
there says she just bumps into cast members from Breaking Bad at the grocery store, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
at a certain point, that wears off a little bit.
So I guess what we're saying is that we're not LA jaded yet.
Oh, we're not cool at all.
We're not that cool.
We only go to
I've
the
actually
corny
thought
places
about
for
that.
sure.
I was just like, if I lived here, like I would just be at the Comedy Store every night. And I'm like, I think I'd be that like freaky girl who people are like, oh yeah, don't talk to her. She's here like all the time and she always wants to talk to everybody.
Or
You
you'd
know
be
what I
like
mean?
that super fan who is like the reason that place ticks, right? Because on those Monday nights, because that's the thing, when we go to Cali, Friday and Saturday night, I've got shows. I usually play Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. Sunday, there's not a lot going on. This time, there's the Oscars. We'll come back to that.
Oh, yeah.
But then always Monday and Tuesday is like our nights where we can go to the comedy clubs and they're not busy. That's another thing. We only go on Monday, Tuesday. I imagine Friday, Saturday is a whole different deal. But
That's true.
we're booked up Friday, Saturday.
That's true. We do always go on the
So
off nights.
This upcoming trip, I'm so excited because we have 8 tickets for us and the whole crew to go see Roast Battle live at the Comedy Store if you listening and you haven't heard of Roast Battle, it is the coolest shit. It is basically all of the best stuff from rap battles with all of the corny stuff removed that I don't love personally, and like made funnier and added, stand-up comedy and roast jokes. It's a little bit like King of the Dot meets like the Comedy Central roasts.
I love how you just explained like roast battling, like you're talking to only rappers right now, because you're like, it's kind of like rap battling. A lot of people out there have never seen a rap battle.
But everybody knows what a rap battle is. Everyone's seen 8 Mile, and they know it's like two rappers battling.
Do you know what's crazy? I've never seen 8 Mile.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. Should I watch it?
You should.
Is
because
it actually good, or?
I'm the opposite of a Stan. I'm a Nats. And
I don't know what that means. Is it like a Sex and the City thing?
Wow,
where it's like,
we're getting
which one are you?
We're getting so off base here. So let's talk. I gotta put out this joint because we need to touch base on Eminem for a minute. We're gonna come back to Cali. So Eminem, Stan is a song about a fan of his.
Yes,
who kills himself.
I know the song.
So on the internet, you know how Eminem fans are the best and the worst at the exact same time.
Sure.
Well, they're just really intense.
Okay.
Eminem fans are very intense. And they've got their boys back until the end of the world.
Yes.
We call those people stans.
Oh.
Because the song of Stan is like, you're that guy who would like ride for Eminem forever and you kind of want to be him and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm not a stan, but 8 Mile is a really great movie. And it's a good example of a rapper or a singer or somebody taking a moment and stepping into a movie and it not sucking.
Do people who aren't rap fans still think it's a great movie?
Yeah.
So it's seen as like a good movie.
It's very hip hop. So I think someone who doesn't have any taste for hip hop wouldn't enjoy a lot of it.
But kind of like the Compton movie. Why am I blanking right now on what it's called?
I would say it was.
Straight Outta
I would say
Compton.
that's a very good comparison.
Yeah, that it's just like,
and maybe
non-hip
even more
hop fans
because
still liked it.
Because at the time, 8 Mile was one of the biggest celebrities in the music industry, and so even like my parents watched it.
You mean Eminem was?
Yeah. What did I say? What did I just say?
8 Mile.
Oh Jesus. So yeah. So 8 Mile was one of the biggest movies, and Eminem was one of the biggest celebrities at the time, and so my parents even
everybody knew who Eminem was.
went and watched 8 Mile
Yeah.
because it was still a movie about like this poor guy from Detroit, and it still had that vibe to it that even my dad could get into. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, you should see 8 Mile. I'd watch it with you. The only thing is I've seen it so many times, and as a white rapper, it's a little bit cliche.
Just for everyone who's listening, he probably won't watch it with me. He never rewatches old movies.
It's been a long time. I might watch 8 Mile with you. We've discussed the old movies thing for our diehard listeners already.
Oh, I forgot to say at the beginning. This is our 3rd episode. You can go back and listen to episode 1 with a rapper named Notion, and episode 2 with a funny person named Paul.
Psychopath named Paul Fedge.
I meant to say that in the beginning.
That's okay.
But yeah, thanks for riding along.
So we're bouncing all over, but I do think we should let's finish on Cali.
Yeah.
Because so basically what we've got coming up is we fly into San Diego tomorrow night, super late. We land into San Diego. Well, you've got some fantastic experience, right?
I've got the opposite of fantastic experience.
Oh, I have fantastic experience in San
You
Diego.
do.
You have horrible
so
San Diego experiences.
In I guess the 2 times you would have went without me before, because you've been 5 times or whatever. And
yeah, and you've been twice?
This is going to be my 3rd time.
Yes, that's right. So I went 2 times before you.
Yeah,
Right.
so it must have been amazing
I can count
weather.
to 5.
Because you always talk about how great the weather was, how beautiful
so
San Diego
nice.
is.
It was
I
paradise.
think San Diego, if people don't know their geography, is closest to like the Mexican border, right? So
That's
it's
right.
like, so that would make it the warmest, closest to the equator, correct? No?
Your geography is so sexy, babe. Yeah.
Right?
Keep going. You're killing them. Keep going. You're killing them.
Don't patronize me. But every time that I've gone in the past 2 times, and now it's going to be the 3rd time, it's been really bad weather. It's been raining, like absurd weather that they never have there. Like,
I'm going to look up the weather for this trip to see what we got coming.
Yeah, it's going to be so amazing if it's beautiful and sunny out, because the other 2 times I went, I don't know. I don't have a good impression of San Diego yet. It's not all it's cracked up to be, you know?
I'm looking it up right now.
We're staying in Ocean Beach, or right on Ocean Beach. Is that a street? Is that an area? We're staying there this time.
So yeah, Ocean Beach is an area of San Diego. It's kind of like a beach community in a big city. So for people who live near here in Toronto, we have like Wasaga Beach. It feels a little like Wasaga Beach is inside like Hamilton or something. You know what I mean? But I just mean not a city as big as Toronto.
It's a little bit more glamorous than Wasaga Beach inside Hamilton.
It feels like I think that's a good representation of it.
Okay.
And then it's just got this vibe, right? Because anybody who chooses to live in San Diego already is choosing to live in like the warmest, nicest part of California. So there's a lot of like outside culture there, very outdoorsy people, but a lot of hippies, a lot of like, there's a lot of all of those things, a lot of homeless, there's all that stuff.
A lot of stores that sell like bead curtains, you know?
Oh, so many bead curtains.
Lots of bead
A lot of taco trucks and bead curtains in San Diego.
Yes.
And then in San Diego, Ocean Beach is like the San Diego of San Diego. You know what I mean? So for the people who live in San Diego and they're like, I didn't escape enough from like the big city life of like LA, I'm gonna go deeper into Ocean Beach and be like right by the water where everyone's face is like sun and like salt bleached and they all have like smile lines and wrinkles from just being so happy for so long. And that's Ocean Beach.
See, you have a much different perspective on San Diego and Ocean Beach.
I might retire there one day. As long as America isn't taken over by Korea or in the ocean, I might move to Ocean Beach.
My heart is open. I want to like it. Like I said, it's just been really bad weather both times, so I'm looking forward. Did you check the weather? Did it say good?
I did check the weather. So it's a good news, bad news situation.
Okay.
The weather actually says it's going to be really nice.
Okay.
But this is what, unfortunately, it also says. It says the day before and the day after it's going to rain. And weather has just this thing of doing like, whoop, we're a day earlier than we thought we were going to be sometimes. And so I don't know what that means. But for now, and we're not that far out.
You went into an awesome list there, and I really liked it. You're like, weather just has this thing. Weather has this special thing that it does. I liked it.
I don't appreciate you outing me right on our podcast.
Sorry.
Outing yourself as my beard right on our podcast. So yes, Thursday, which is the day that we're live in Ocean Beach, San Diego at Winston's. If by some miracle you're listening from San Diego, please come party with us. It's going to be 16 degrees Celsius and sunny on Thursday.
Very nice.
So that's good news.
Yes.
So from there, we go to LA. We've already talked a little bit about that. We're going to be hanging out with our boy Jade, who we kicked it with in Europe. He's throwing us a daytime party in LA and kind of a little industry mixer thing. We do some stand-up comedy, and then we roll up to the Bay, San Francisco.
Yes.
San Francisco is an interesting city in its own right. It's one of the most expensive places in the world.
It's like the most expensive place, but also with like the most homeless people at the same time. It's really strange.
It's comically expensive. It's like $50 to leave your car anywhere. To go to a restaurant, it's like you're not spending less than $50. To stay at any hotel, it's like several $100s. It's you talk to people who rent a couch in an apartment for like $2,000 a month. Just for the couch. And in any other city in the world, that could get you a whole apartment, if not a house.
Yeah, it's more than like New York City, right?
It's way more. Now, granted, I've heard Manhattan's quite crazy. I'm sure there's some places that would compete with that.
Yeah.
But certainly, like citywide,
San Francisco. I think officially on the list of like how much, I think San Francisco is more.
And at
which
the same
is so
time,
funny because
you're right, homeless people.
Yeah, because I still picture San Francisco having like a lot of those like beach hippies and things, and it's like, how can they afford to live in San Francisco? You know what I mean? It's
a little bit cooler up there, so I think that it's like a few degrees cooler. So I think it's less beachy and more like, it's one of the most liberal places in America too, right? Like this is the place where they're the maddest at Trump.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of all the places where they're mad at Trump, they're the maddest in San Francisco.
And we were there for the original Women's March after the inauguration.
Talk about that.
So we were in San Francisco and then Santa Cruz. I think we were in San Francisco for the beginning of the Women's March, or maybe the day before or something. But we saw it in the early works,
which is very similar to what we're doing on this trip, actually.
Yeah, and then we were in Santa Cruz, so we got to participate, which was really awesome. It was super good vibes. They weren't expecting that many people because Santa Cruz is a little bit smaller, not as big as like San Francisco. Right. And I think something like, what was it? 25,000 people showed up. It was a lot.
It was a lot of people.
It was a lot. It might even be more. It might be like 52,000.
It was the biggest thing of that nature that I've ever been at.
Yeah.
Like I was really like, I didn't enjoy, I don't like crowds. And so I didn't enjoy it. Because I was like, the crowds, there was too much support. It was just like crazy.
Yeah. And it was kind of a march, but like you couldn't go anywhere really.
There was too many people to actually march.
And
then when they started marching, I think that's when we bailed out and went, I think did something else. But
yeah, by the time the crowd actually started moving, that was like 3-4 hours in.
It was crazy.
Yeah. But it was really awesome to be there. This year, there is the March for Our Lives on March 24th, which will be, I think we'll be back in Toronto at that point. Are
they marching in Toronto?
Yes, they are. So they're marching in Toronto, just kind of in a statement of solidarity with the U.S. And I think I'm going to go.
You should.
It's I actually just read about it today. So if you're curious about it, it's if you go on Facebook and type in Toronto March for Our Lives, there's an event page and stuff like that, and you can check that out. And yeah, if you're into stuff like that, I know a lot of people think, oh, the politics in our country has nothing to do with the politics in the U.S., and it really does. Like,
I think it does.
They're our neighbors, and me and Anthony go there so often. It's like I feel like they're our family, and I really want to,
You're right. I think it is. I think it's so much deeper than they're our neighbors, because when you think about the relationship between Canada and the USA, our children watch so much American content. Our heroes are largely American. Our friends are American. Facebook doesn't stop at the border.
Yeah.
No, the internet doesn't stop at the border. A lot of my favorite people don't live in Canada ever since a bigger piece of my life moved to the internet, right? Because two things happened at the same time. One, part of my life moved to the internet, and secondly, we started traveling more. So we started meeting people in other countries. But between those two things, my favorite people are all over. It has nothing to do with borders. And so the fact that there's a line between me and our friend T-Zank in Indiana, if he gets bombed by Korea, we're not like, too bad, he's American.
Yeah, no, that's
it's
such a big deal.
These are our friends.
Totally.
These are our favorite people. And sure, there's a line there, and I respectfully cross that line, and I show them my passport. I don't say anything about any of this stuff. But at the same time, that line is less real than the relationships are.
Yeah.
That we have over it.
Yeah, for sure.
Not to get super poetic, but
yeah.
Not to get my hands going on some Larry David-ish, but.
And not that I really know much about this, but would it be a true statement to say the more guns there is in the U.S., the more guns there is in Canada
as well? It's happening
as well?
right now.
Yeah,
it's happening right now.
I know that the buses from New York City to Niagara, which is where I'm from, used to constantly get checked. We would get checked for guns because a lot of guns would come in from New York City to the Niagara region. So it's not like it doesn't affect us. It very much so affects us.
Shootings are way up.
Yeah.
And that's just one of the ways. There are so many little ways that where it's intrinsically linked. And I always say that word wrong, but you know what I'm saying. The link is so real. And there's, and even within the USA, our friends that live in pro-Trump states, because I have some really cool people. You think about Friday who lives in Nebraska, and I don't know if Nebraska's all the way Trump, but there's certainly more Trump than say California is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's a really smart, proactive, forward-thinking guy in the midst of a part of the country being in the Midwest that's otherwise very, in my opinion, backwards and we would call whatever conservative, pro-Trump, whatever. That's the same nation, and I know it's really obvious, but I've been hearing a lot lately about this idea that eventually it has to come back together. And so that's kind of where my head is at. It's how does that ever happen? Where those the places that they're so far apart, how does that come back? It's the next leader who comes through, whether it's President The Rock or whether it's
I love how you're already calling him President The Rock.
I call him President The Rock all the time. Not President Johnson, President The Rock. That's a big task. Anyways, that's outside. I wouldn't even know where to begin on something.
I just want to say one more thing on that too. I think the reason why I protest things that from the outside seem to have to do with the States and not Canada is also to show that we're not going to stand for that here.
Great point.
So careful. Do you know what I mean? Because there's constantly elections going on here as well. And to me, it's really important to not get into that slippery slope.
There's a lot of conservatives in Canada.
There's a lot of conservatives in Canada.
We forget about that being here in Toronto.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because Toronto is not as much, but.
And, Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver are the places that have the most people. So I think we hear a lot of those people on the internet. So we really feel like Canada's so liberal. But what you don't hear are the voting people in northern Alberta or who may be, harshly conservative. And so, I think it's important to make our voices heard so that nothing slips backwards here in this country as well. Because it's possible. The thing that we're seeing around the world, and this is, I'm proud of us. This is so political.
I know.
There's this spread of nationalism. Have you heard of this? Or do you know what that word means?
Nationalism?
Yeah. It's the idea of what happened in UK with Brexit and what's happening in America with Trump.
Right. And
what's happening in some European countries where suddenly...
It's a big divide.
And suddenly they're very concerned with the outside world trying to take them over. It's that becomes the main concern of the people. And of course that's insane because the people are just spreading as all creatures and things do. It's just the nature of species on a planet is to spread and take over the rest of the planet. No one's coming to take over your country, whether your country is Iceland or Canada or the state of Kansas. People just spread. That's what we do. But anyways, it seems like no one knows that, because we're seeing actually in a lot of countries where they were just recently not that nationalistic, they're electing nationalistic leaders that do things like the situation that happened in the UK with Brexit. And I think what happened in France is there was somebody running for that position on that platform. And thank God, France being a really important country in Europe, they voted for the non-nationalistic person.
Right. I remember that. Yeah.
The more like pro-immigration liberal individual, I believe, was elected.
I hope we're not like butchering like politics talk right now.
I think we're dancing from the outside. We haven't gotten too nitty-gritty on the facts because we don't know that much. Let's be super honest. But what I do know is there is a spread of this nationalism and anti-immigration, and I don't get that. It's like nothing good comes from it. And I'm really science-minded, but one of the things that I think about on this subject is just what science has to say on it. And for example, if you look at dogs or any species that we know a little bit about, when you have different species of dogs, or I guess not species, but breeds, right?
Yeah.
Cross-pollinate and they breed together and we create new off-breeds. In most cases, and not just for dogs, this happens with all breeds, genetically they're stronger.
Yeah.
And that happens the same thing with people. Like science is like, hey, just if you ask us, the smartest people in the world, is it a good idea for people from two different nations to breed and make something new? Scientifically, yeah, that's 100% yes. Science is like not 50-50, we're not sure, like all the arguments out. It's 100% yes. Genetically, we're way stronger when we start breeding across race lines.
Totally.
And so I think it's just interesting that.
And physically, mixed race people are the most attractive.
And there's no way.
That's not a coincidence.
It can't be a coincidence that scientists are like, yeah, there's a lot of great incentives for the human species to breed all over the planet. And by the way, those people are fucking gorgeous. Yeah. It's like, no, that's not a coincidence. I have such a crush on Olivia Munn. And she's like the perfect, like vague ethnicity of, I don't even know. I don't even know. And there's something beautiful about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm ranting like a motherfucker. Yeah. I've been smoking. Oh, can I tell you something I didn't tell you until right now? I ate a weed gummy before the podcast.
Are you feeling it now?
I'm so stoned. It just occurred to me right now that's why I'm going the fuck off.
Yeah, your eyes are super red. I like it.
I'm good though.
Good. So we're gonna do some Oscars festivities, maybe in California.
We're gonna try.
Yeah. So the Oscars are happening while we're there. I think we're getting there so we're leaving tomorrow. We're getting there on Thursday.
That's right.
And then the Oscars are on Sunday. So there's a lot of pre-parties going on, a lot of viewing parties going on, a lot of after parties going on. So that could be a thing.
And we're going to be just a few minutes from where the Oscars themselves take place.
Yeah.
So I don't know what we're going to do.
We're more into like the hype of it all. We actually aren't super into like the Oscars themselves.
No, I'm not into the awards.
Yeah.
For me, what I value is the experience of traveling and going to a place and potentially having an interaction with somebody who inspires me. You know what I mean? I try not to be a pain in their ass. I shook Louis C.K.'s hand and kept walking. I try not to fangirl out for everybody or fanboy out for them. But it is cool and a little like experience to like go to this place and you're having this amazing time and you turn the corner and here's somebody that when you know. Look at someone like when you met Fortune Femster. Yeah. For people who don't know her, what show is she from again?
The Mindy Project.
The Mindy Project. That's the big one.
And she has the new comedy special on that. Right. I think there's like 5 comedians that do a thing on Netflix.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called.
It's called like 5 stand-ups or something like that.
That's
not what it's called, but it's something like that.
I like that you whispered.
Anyways, she's on that.
But you watch her all the time on Mindy.
Yeah.
And so when we were hanging out at the comedy bar and we turn around and then she's kicking it, I was just like, oh, Jess, you got to go meet her.
Yeah.
She's not the biggest celebrity on the planet, but this is somebody that you spend time with when you're eating dinner. And so it's like now you have one chance to just say what up. Yeah. And she was so cool. He took a picture. Hey, nice to meet you. You're a fan. That's dope. And it's like, I value that experience. Maybe not everyone does. Maybe you think I'm a loser because I like to go meet celebrities. But here's what I want to do. Ultimately, here's my best case scenario. If I get my way, Sunday when we're in Hollywood for the Oscars, I'm going to sleep in that morning. So I got lots of rest. And then we're going to do our own thing. We're going to party with our own people. And then later on, We're going to go to a classy spot within an Uber drive of the Oscars and just do our thing. And if we happen to end up having drinks next to some cast members of our favorite TV show, then that could become a cool experience. If it doesn't happen, then we'll make our own cool experience on some other shit. But I think that's my favorite. And that's one of my favorite reasons for traveling is it opens up that door and maybe nothing happens, right? But when we go back to the Grammys next year and we do the same thing, although we'll probably go to the Grammys because that's actually within reach. But still we'll go to some after parties or whatever. And maybe we meet my favorite artists of all time. Or maybe we don't, and no sweat. But I'm super down to see if we do.
Yeah. I find that a lot of times when you meet someone too, it really is just for you. Like there's the douchey thing about it. It's like, oh, you just want to meet famous people. But it's like, it's not like we're like bragging about it to other people and other people care. Literally no one else cares.
Right now we are because we're...
Well, right now because it's on the podcast.
Yeah,
but it's like, no one else cares. Sometimes when we're like, oh, we hung out with so-and-so the other night.
Cares.
Like nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody in our circle cares. My parents don't even know who that person. I'll be like, oh, guess who we met in California. Nobody cares. So it's just for us. It's just, these are the people that we listen to, we watch and stuff like that. And it's just really cool to get to meet them in person.
You know what it is for me? It's kind of like magic. It's like, I listen to the Kill Tony podcast. It's a stand-up comedy podcast where it's kind of like an open mic turned into a podcast form, and then famous comedians roast the open micers. I listen to it a lot. Like there was a time where every day, because I was getting caught up on old episodes, I'm listening to Kill Tony. So when we went to the Comedy Store, and then we went to Kill Tony, and then we met Tony, and we smoked a joint with him, I'm just like, that makes the podcast so real. I just reached out and touched like my favorite thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like seeing like, what's her name? Like Aphrodite.
That was amazing.
It's just like, we've been listening to this podcast for so long, and it's so amazing to just be a part of that experience live and get to see it.
It's same thing when somebody's a huge, when they make movies where like this kid, he grows up like watching the Yankees on TV, and then the first time he goes to a Yankees game, it's that same magic. Yeah. It's a little updated and it's a little weirder, but it's that same magic.
For sure. And a little message like out to anyone who's at home right now thinking like, oh, I wish I could go do this thing. You can do it. Like, just go do it. Because I kind of felt like that too, where it's just like, oh, these people are so cool. They get to go travel and do these cool things. It's like, give me a sec here. I'm making an important point for this person sitting at home.
I'm making it sound more epic. Go.
And we stay at hostels or Airbnbs. We're not balling out. Like, we're not doing anything crazy. We're just putting ourselves in the right places and having lots of fun, smoking lots of weed, drinking lots of drinks. Yeah, and you can do it too. That's all I'm saying.
You know what thing I find people are most surprised about when I'm talking about my frequent trips to Amsterdam. I take like 2 a year. I'm like the only grown-ass adult who takes 2 trips to Amsterdam a year. And our trips every year to Cali is the trip itself is far cheaper than people usually think it is.
And I find that when you tell people that, like I've been around you when you've told people that and they kind of they kind of like brush it off like, it's still too expensive. And it's just like, no, it's not. Like, so you don't actually want to do it then if you think that. You know what I mean?
Some people can't afford it, and that's a different combo. I have friends who have kids, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and they're like, yeah, I can't do that. And
having kids is a different
That's a whole other combo. But just fairly often when someone's like, oh man, I wish I could travel. I'm like, my ticket was like $500.
Yeah.
He's like, really? $500?
Yeah.
Yeah, $500, bro. And by the way, once you get there, it's like $25 a night to stay. Yeah,
and we always talk about this too. It's like
not a crazy amount of money.
Sometimes, I mean, we might spend a little bit more on food, but generally we spend the same amount as what we would be spending at home anyways.
If you travel wisely, we do 2 things. We stay. This is fun. Let's talk about how we travel. So we stay either at hostels or Airbnbs. These are kind of the 2 scenarios. Once in a blue moon, a hotel when the other 2 scenarios aren't working, but hostels or Airbnbs. Everyone knows why Airbnb is awesome because we're young and no old people who don't know Airbnb listen to this podcast. But hostels, I think people would also be sort of surprised is our preferred choice of accommodation.
I might like it more.
Why?
Why do I like it more?
Why?
Well, most hostels have kind of a vibe going on where they try to create a good environment for tourists. So they'll have like a barbecue night where it'll be like, come in and pay $1 and get free hot dogs and hamburgers all night. Or it'll be like, hey, this night we're taking everybody to Universal Studios, which we've never done before. But it's just cool that those things exist and that if you wanted to, it'd be really easy. And if you got to the city and you were confused, you didn't know what to do, those people really do offer you a bunch of different options. The other thing that's cool is, we just sit in the courtyard. It's almost like having like a bring your own drinks bar because we sit in the courtyard. We
Yep.
talk to different people from different countries. We get to meet all these cool people. And you don't really get at an Airbnb if it gets boring around 9 o'clock and you guys have nothing to do or whatever. You just kind of sit there, you watch a movie maybe.
I pass out on the couch at 9
You
o'clock
pass
at
out on the
Airbnb all the
couch.
time.
But at a hostel, you can go down to the common area and just meet somebody, talk with them. You know, like if that's not your thing, that's not your thing. But that is very much so my thing.
It's certainly not for everybody. And
Yeah.
I think I could think of a lot of my friends who probably, they'd be like, nah, I'll stay at a hotel and I'll meet you at the show. And that's
Yeah.
cool too.
Yeah.
And what I love about it is it's kind of like a hotel made for socializing. There's
Yeah.
less rules. You don't have to sneak past the concierge.
Yeah.
He knows you're here to party. And at the same time, it's not like things are filthy. It's super clean because everybody
and
stays.
I'm sure some are, you know.
Yeah, and certainly, like, I mean, when you book a hostel, you have to book a good one. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying just book any hostel, and Illy said it's going to be fine.
This one time we stayed at a hostel in Hermosa Beach.
Yeah.
And it had like a cockroach like jammed into the holes of
It
like
wasn't
the
a nice
ceiling
room.
grid, if that makes any
Yeah,
sense.
it was a bad day for that cockroach. A bad day
It was
for us.
it was such a big cockroach. And
was
it was
big.
like carpeted in there and there was like duct tape on the windows. So sometimes they're bad.
But what ratio? Probably like nine times out of 10
That's
is
the
good.
only one
Yeah.
that we've stayed at that's been bad, and we've stayed at so many.
Around the world.
So quick shout out to Banana Bungalow in
Pop, pop,
Hollywood.
pop, pop,
We've stayed
pop.
there a few times and I really, really like it. I also love the fact that like in the morning they just have like bread sitting out and you can make like a peanut butter and toast.
Yeah.
And it's not only good for saving money, but it's also good for just being on the go. Like sometimes we have stuff to do. We don't have time to go to a breakfast place and have a whole sit down breakfast. It's just butter your toast, eat your toast. It's really good for people who are doing stuff while they're there, who are busy.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I really like it. And you know, when we were there last time at the Banana Bungalow, I remember I went outside to smoke a joint on the patio, and I'm kicking it, smoke the joint, and then I'm just kicking I remember I'm looking out at the Hollywood Hills, and there was the sign for the Zach Galifianakis show baskets. I
Oh,
remember.
yeah, I
So I was just
remember
like
that.
sitting there smoking, watching the sky, and then so this girl comes out, and she's from Texas or something,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, "You want to smoke this blunt with me?" It has a massive blunt, and just like. What hotel have you ever gone to
Yeah.
where you're kicking it out front? Someone's like, "Want to smoke a massive blunt with me?" And that's not that uncommon. Like that type of thing happens at a spot like that. So yeah, I really recommend people consider it. I also stay at hostels in Europe. We've had great experiences in France. Amsterdam's a little tougher because Amsterdam's a weird city, but I've stayed at some cool spots there too.
Also, another myth about hostels for people who've never stayed at them. I know that my mom, for example, pictures hostels as a room with like 20 beds in it.
That exists.
That does exist.
Yeah.
And you can get it. So if you're really on a tight budget, you can get like a $20 room or
Even less
whatever,
sometimes,
even
yeah.
less than that. And you're staying literally in like not prison, but like army style bunk beds in a room with 20 people.
Yeah, it's not pretty. I don't like it. A lot of farts.
Yeah, so I've never done that, but we've stayed in 8 rooms, 8 people rooms. We've
not so
stayed
bad.
in 6 people rooms, but mostly you can still save money compared to a hotel and stay in a private room at a hostel. Like we stay in like a 4-person room. We usually travel with a few other performing artists. So we'll stay in a 4-person room. Me and Anthony get a bed. They get like a bunk bed right next to us, and we have a TV. We have a fridge. Like it's not really gross. Like it can be a little bit glamorous. You know?
Yeah. So that's scenario one, and then the other scenario we do is of course Airbnb.
Yeah.
And I like to balance the two because I think when you do hostels back to back to back, you do hit a spot where you go, I want to be able to walk around naked, and you can't do that at a hostel. And I don't mean I'm metaphorically like there's all that shit. All just being vulnerable and lying down and and maybe you want to pass it on the couch.
Yeah.
So for example,
I want to have my own bedroom and
Yeah,
shut the
exactly.
door and masturbate.
So we do a little. Sometimes depends on how long you're on the road. That's just real. But yeah, so we split it up. We do a little bit of both. So on this trip, San Francisco, we'll be staying at a glorious villa overlooking the ocean.
I'm so excited. The pictures
so
on the I hope the pictures on the sometimes the pictures on the Airbnb are so good and then you get there and it's like meh.
That's happened.
But I feel like it'll be good. It's basically like overlooking like a valley
And the ocean.
and the ocean.
Ocean's
I'm
on the
really
other side of the
excited.
valley. But
I'm
it goes
really
valley
excited.
then ocean.
Valley then ocean, yeah.
I think there's some houses between too, but
Yeah.
we can't afford those Airbnbs. I'm sorry. I'm not quite a big enough rapper to afford the Airbnbs right down on the other side of the valley before the ocean.
Tell me about that app that you found where you can rent like luxury cars.
What's it called? Oh, I know. It's called Turo.
Yeah.
I love it, man. I'm really into this. like this crowdsourced revolution that's happening.
Yeah, like
right
speaking
now.
of Airbnb, Hostel World.
Yeah, that's a great segue. So the company's called Turo, and they're not the only one. There's another one too. Did I installed the other one on my phone? Let me look just quickly. Maybe I didn't. So there's Turo, and then another company's called Maven. I did install it. So both the companies essentially do the same thing, and what it is it's a car rental of. They don't do the same thing. So let me explain the difference.
Okay.
Turo is like Airbnb for people's cars. So if you've got a 1994 Honda Civic or a 2017 Tesla, you can set the price for the day or a week. And essentially, if you've ever used Airbnb, it's the exact same thing.
So it's all sorts of cars, nice ones,
All kinds.
crappy ones.
And basically for the same price as a rental, except for there's a lot more variation. And they pick up and drop them off. There's all kinds of services like that, so they can actually bring it to you. And in the case of the one I was looking at, it was in a parking lot with like a lockbox. So you just go to it anytime you want, open it, and take off. So it's just so much easier even than going to a car rental place.
Yeah.
And then you bring it back, lock the key back up, and you're straight. And the pricing was really, really dope too. So the other company is called Maven, and what Maven is it's kind of like Uber but without the driver. So the cars are parked around, just around the city, kind of like the auto share.
Or like Zipcar
like
or
Zipcar,
whatever.
like those companies. And then you pick it up and you drive it for an hour, you drop it off. And I don't know what the primary difference between them and Zipcar is, but that's interesting. I almost want to look into it to find out what the primary difference between them and Zipcar is, because they kind of have this modern Uber feel to the app. And they show you all the places all over the city where the cars are, and you can rent it for just an hour and then drop it back off at one of the other spots. It's very much like Zipcar, but it kind of feels like it has a new spin to it. So I wasn't prepared for the question, so I don't know. I don't know more about that one.
No, it's cool.
But I do have it on. I do have it on my phone, and I want to use it. I have a British driver's license right now still, and so none of these apps will let me drive their cars until I get my Canadian driver's license back. So that's my own personal situation.
No, yeah, I didn't need that. We're not sponsored by any of these. We're
not
apps,
sponsored
so
by
we
British
didn't
driver's
need
licenses.
Okay, I have a question for you, kind of similar. If you had the option, let's say let's say Capri Sun, do they still exist?
What is a Capri Sun again? Is it a juice box?
They're the mushy ones where you stab the straw into, and they're like a bag almost.
It's a juice bag.
Right? I think that's what it is, right?
I'm gonna start calling people juice bags.
Yeah. So let's say Capri Sun said, "Hey, we'll give you a free car to drive around, whatever. We'll pay the insurance. It's a Capri Sun car."
Yes.
The answer is yes, you would do it. Okay, here's my question: why don't we see more of those then? Because we can't be the only ones who would agree to that. So why don't we see more advertisement cars like that are like a car completely like wrapped with like a Capri Sun ad? You know what I mean?
I'll tell you why. The answer is liability, I believe, because there's a lot of risk and liability associated with having randoms driving around with your logo on them. It's funny that you bring that up because when I was really young, I would say probably in grade 9, I wrote a whole business plan. And the business plan was for wrapped vehicles driven by like citizens, by regular people, where they would pay part of your car insurance in exchange for you wrapping your vehicle. And I remember I presented it to a few people, and my dad said, "There's too much risk. Big companies, it's like someone kills somebody, it's not worth the minor bits of advertising."
The Capri Sun car ran over an 8-year-old.
Totally. And it's like, how do you? It would be different if it was Uber and maybe there was already some pre-approved drivers, and it's like these people already have this. We have, they've driven this amount of time safely, so we'll take our best drivers. And but back then that didn't exist. So
follow-up question on some Blade Runner things. Do you think that we'll see that more in the future? Do you think it'll be like there'll be more advertising like that?
You know what? When it's all self-driving vehicles, or not even all, when there are self-driving vehicles, I think they'll all be wrapped. Yeah.
Interesting.
Because there's no liability now. Worst case scenario, if it makes a mistake, I think we will all know that they're generally safe. And it's like, okay, so one did do something, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And there won't ever be drugs. There won't ever be a rape by a driver from the Capri Sun. Like none of those things will ever happen.
Yeah,
it's
because
just
it's
at
a
this point, it's
self-driving
just
car,
the car
right.
accident.
Yeah.
So I think at that point I could see a company like Uber like cost sharing with whoever, and then
for sure. I want to share something with the listeners that I find really funny. Anthony really hates it when anyone ever says like, "Oh man, what's going on in the world right now is just like the movie Idiocracy."
I hate it.
He hates it because everyone says it, but it is true. Like when you think about like things like that, like all of our cars
are true.
Yeah, no, I know, and it's just like things are getting bigger and bigger and stupider and stupider. It's funny. It's just funny that you hate it so much.
The reason I hate it, and I hate anything that's like this. I hate that when someone says something that I've seen 7 times like that day.
Yeah,
I'm exaggerating a little bit.
Yeah.
And they're looking around like, original joke, drops mic. No one got it like me comedically.
Is that what they're saying?
No, but it's got that energy of just like, oh, I made it.
Am I right? Am I right?
I made this connection that nobody, it's like, you guys want to hear something crazy? It's going to blow your minds. It's just like Idiocracy. I'm like, I know that it's like Idiocracy. Everybody knows that. Anyways.
I love it. What else we got?
What else you got for me on that phone over there?
Do you want to talk about my sleep paralysis? That's a super shift in topics.
Yeah, talk about it, because now maybe I can ask you questions, because I know you have sleep paralysis. Mm-hmm. And I know enough to know what that is, but I've not like looked it up.
Yeah.
And you haven't given me like
okay.
scientific rundowns of it.
Yeah.
So I can see in the mirror the last little bit where I was yelling and we peaked like a motherfucker.
That's okay.
So what is it? What does it feel like?
So I don't know what the scientific explanation of sleep paralysis is, but I'll tell you what I've experienced. And also I would say that from what I've explained to other people, my experience isn't that uncommon. So it's a lot of people have the same experience. Basically, it's when you're laying down in bed, and I guess it could be either in the middle of the night, it could be before you go to sleep, it could be in the morning, and basically you just feel like you're almost like lucid dreaming and something's like scary, like in the room. Like a lot of people say that they feel like something's like sitting on their chest almost and they can't move. The main thing is that you can't move. So you can't wake up, you can't move. You're like sleep paralysis. So you're paralyzed in a position and something scary is happening that you can't stop.
Okay.
So with me, what happens is it's always when I'm laying on my back. So I pretty much can't sleep on my back. You've noticed that if I'm laying on my back and I notice, I'll like instantly roll over and make sure I'm laying on my stomach or on my side. Because when I'm laying on my back is when I get it almost 100% of the time, which sucks. It sucks.
Wait, so 100% of the time you're on your back, you get sleep paralysis?
Yeah, so I don't sleep on my back ever. But if for some reason, if I have a stuffy nose or something and I'm sick,
you definitely get it?
I definitely get it. I wouldn't say 100%, but I would say like
also.
80 or 90% of the time. If I lay on my back and I fall asleep, I'll wake up and I'll have it. And what mine is that there's something, there's basically a nightmare happening in the room, like it looks real, and that I can't move and I can't get out of it. Sometimes it's like somebody at the end of the bed, like somebody's head will poke up at the end of the bed and I'll see it. Sometimes it's just a feeling. Sometimes it's just like, oh, there's somebody in the room.
What does the head look like?
It's usually like just like a shadow of a head.
Sure.
Sometimes I can see like different color, like eyes and mouth as well, but it's usually not that like defined.
No, sure.
Yeah,
but
it's not like it's like a hi, like it's like a specific person that we know or anything.
Is it Howie Mandel?
It's Gilbert Godfrey.
Yeah. No, so but if I were to ask you to like picture the head popping up, what do you picture?
Like, could I draw it like one of those kids in a horror movie? Where I'm like,
what do you picture?
Is
it like a grayed out head with lips, or is it like a?
Yeah, so it's.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's usually like a shadow of a man. A man, of course.
It's always
a man.
You fucking
and
hate
it usually has like sharp teeth and like white eyes or red eyes or something.
If there's ever a man with sharp teeth in our bedroom, there's a problem. My teeth are not sharp.
Yeah, and I had it the other night too, and I think it probably does happen when I'm feeling either a little bit like over caffeinated that day or maybe a little bit stressed out that day.
Okay. Does weed affect it?
I don't know. That's an interesting question because I know that weed does affect your dreams.
It does.
So if you smoke weed and then you stop smoking weed, you get more dreams, correct?
Yeah, when I quit weed for 2 weeks last year, about this time last year, actually, the worst 2 weeks of my entire life. I dreamed like a motherfucker. I mean, I was just like in Maze Runner 1, Maze Runner 2. I was in Maze Runner 3. Pretty much all my dreams were Maze Runner movies.
All Maze Runner related.
All Maze Runner spin-off. There's a Maze Runner spin-off movie. Yeah, that was great.
And then what is smoking weed will get rid of your dreams? So should I smoke more weed? Will that get rid of my sleep paralysis?
First of all, you should smoke more weed just because it's fun to smoke weed with you.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, because weed does, they do say weed, like, I don't know what the right word is, but it like washes down your dreams. So you dream a little bit, but it's not as intense. You don't remember it when you wake up. It's that type of stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like waters down your dreams. That's the phrase I was looking
I have
for.
crazy dreams all the time, and I've been smoking more weed with you in the past year, and I don't feel like it's changed my dreams at all. I have weird, creepy, elaborate dreams all the time.
You do. I'm glad that you mentioned that because I wouldn't have thought to talk about that. But it's one of my favorite things about you is you'll be like, can I tell you about my dream last night? And in the beginning, I was unsuspecting because I was just like, I mean, yeah, I guess. But now I'm like, oh, you're about to say some fucked up shit because you dream some fucked up shit.
Yeah, I dream like movies. Like they should have credits at the end. Like I dream like crazy, crazy dreams. Yeah. And they're usually like stories.
Can you think of any examples? Even just like, I don't know.
No, you know, I can't think of a good one that I'll be like proud that I told that like movie dream story.
Sure. Here's what you'll do though. When you have the next crazy one,
I'll definitely talk about it.
Write it down.
Sure.
We'll put it up here. It'll say Jess's dream.
Yeah,
and then you can pull it down and you can read it out to us like you're fucking Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
I don't know that he did that.
Oh wait, no, I do have one. I do have one because I told you recently.
Mind. No, I did that whole Mr. Rogers spiel and that was a waste.
So I had a dream that it was in the future and they were prosecuting like dangerous criminals, so murderers, you know, bank robbers, all these things. And instead of putting them in jail, they were sending them to this planet that Earth had discovered to basically colonize this planet. So it's not optional. If you're this murderer, sorry, but we're sending you to this weird planet like years away. And it's potentially dangerous. I think there was like aliens in the dream. Wow. So they had to like maybe like almost like kind of like Super Troopers-y where they had to like fight off these aliens, but they're basically preparing this planet for regular civilians. No, thank you. Yeah. So that's one of the dreams that I had. I had that like a week or two ago. And it was, very elaborate. They were like, giving them the drug so they'll go to sleep for 2 years on the spaceship.
Do you ever know it's a dream in the middle of one of those intense dreams?
I think sometimes, yeah. I think sometimes.
How, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not at all, 10 being like super in control, how in control of the course of the dream do you feel when you have those intense dreams?
So like lucid dreaming, you mean where you're able to like, you know, you're dreaming and you can kind of change things? I would say like 2. Like I don't think I'm ever that. So
it's more of a movie.
I'm thinking of stuff and it's happening, but I don't think I'm ever like, oh, I know this is a dream, so I'm gonna like fly or I'm gonna run really fast.
I'm gonna
like,
fuck this dude.
I'm gonna fuck this dude. No, I don't. I don't really have lucid dreams that often. While we're talking about all my weird things and phobias and all that stuff, I want to talk about my phobia of being in cars and flying.
Now's a good time to talk about it.
Yeah, totally. So we're flying out to California tomorrow. I've a little bit gotten over my fear of flying. I say that, but no, I haven't because I cry almost every time.
Okay. Yeah.
I cry when we take off and I cry when we land. I hate it every time. When we're up in the air, I'm fine because I figured, you know, how many planes is there up there? What do we have to crash into?
Crash into one. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no buildings that we're fine. So once we're up in the air, I'm fine. But during the takeoff and during the landing, I cry almost every time. And I know that's not unusual. A lot of people get nervous on flights. So there's that. So that I've been my entire life. They once upgraded me to first class because I was having a panic attack and it was awesome. So maybe I should try that more often.
Yeah, not with me though, thank you. Because that would upgrade both of us.
Yeah, we also don't want to get kicked off the plane for having a panic attack. I was also 14 years old at the time. I think that if I do that when I'm 30, they're just going to be like, okay, ma'am, you're not able to take this flight then. Yeah, so let's not do that.
You can't come back in the future. And in addition to planes,
I also recently developed a car phobia. So I don't drive, but being a passenger in a car is like not great for me anymore. I get really nervous. I get super tense, really anxiety. I'm like gripping the, what do you call the little thing there? You put garbage in.
I'm just enjoying you search for it. I love that you're like that you put garbage in. That's very telling of you as a person.
It is. You know, you put like
the handle?
your McDonald's wrapped
Do you mean the
up
handle?
wrapper.
The door handle?
The handle, but I'm not like opening the door.
No, sure.
Like it's like the little cubby. Yeah. Anyways.
We call that a handle.
I've tried medicating. I've tried taking a Valium, which is interesting because that seems like such a like.
We sacrificed a baby. Didn't help.
Valium seems like such a like 30-year-old woman or like 40-year-old woman like drug that you do when you're like stressed out.
I took Viagra.
But I guess
Did
that's
not
just
solve
what
the
it
problem.
is. No, you having a boner during the car ride wouldn't necessarily solve the
and
problem.
so for anybody who knows me, I'm not the greatest driver in the world. And so I know that adds to the problem as well. And when I say not the greatest driver, I don't mean like hit shit. I just mean I'm kind of aggressive. I'm kind of impulsive. And it's never a problem. Like we don't have, I wouldn't even say we have close calls, but I definitely speed up to get the gap and then hit the brake when there's a car in front of me. And so I'm one
you
of the
speed up and stop a lot.
I'm one of those guys. I'm really intense. I'm trying to get to that next destination. So it's just funny because if you know me and Jess is going, I developed a car phobia. All my friends from high school, not that they're listening. Although Todd's listening.
Yeah.
So he might be like, yo, you're dating that one of my least favorite drivers on the planet.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm not aware that that's a factor, because it definitely is a factor. But now, so it made it, let's say it started it, which is terrible. I don't think it's necessarily that.
I don't think I started it.
But I get it when I'm not even in a car with you. Like I get it with my mom. I get it in an Uber. Yeah, I'm fine in buses and trains because they're big and like it doesn't scare me as much.
It's fat people to insulate you from like the accident.
Yeah. But yeah, it sucks. So also the most interesting part about it is that it developed when I was like 29. So if anybody else has any phobias they developed later in life, I would honestly love to hear about it. Like everybody has things that they're afraid of. So it's normal that you've been afraid of something your whole life, but I'm really interested in why a phobia develops later.
You know what? I have something to say on that. Mm-hmm. A lot of the things about me that like you and I know about that you helped me deal with in my life developed later. Not only did the dietary issues.
That of course.
But I'm just saying that's it in my head, it's linked in that it's really interesting that in my late 20s, I suddenly became so sensitive to so many foods. You know what I mean? It's like I was always fine. I was always that guy with the iron stomach. And then one day I just start being sick all the time. And then you realize that it's food. So it's not exactly related, but it comes to mind. And also other things. The little bit of a stutter that I have, my increased ADD symptoms, let's call them. We joke that I'm on the spectrum. All of that stuff and my awareness of that stuff came later. And so I don't know if I was just unaware, which is possible. But I was a kid with really great grades, and nobody said anything like that to me. I don't have any recollections of anybody insinuating that. And maybe that's because it was before a time where they would have given a kid those drugs. Like, I don't know if maybe I slipped through the gap.
I also think that I also think that young boys are kind of crazy and manic all the time. And then most of them, that goes away when they get older.
Yes.
For you, it didn't go away. You're still that, you know what I mean? Like
I always talked fast. But the stuttering started in like my mid-20s.
I don't notice your stuttering.
No, it's not really intense, but there is moments where that'll happen. Like I'm joking.
Okay.
No, I'm joking. But there is,
real?
and maybe it wouldn't be quite that pronounced, but that would be the kind of thing I'm talking about, where it's like, and then I'm fine. But it does happen, and I feel it happened probably.
I think
20
you're
or 30
just
times a
hyper
day.
like paranoid about it because you do public speak a lot.
Yes.
So you want to not do it, but I don't think you do more than the regular person necessarily.
I heard somebody say, and I can't now. I've actually been reading for the first time in my life, so I can't remember if it's from the book that Teresa dropped off, or if it's this other article I was just reading. But it was a really intelligent person saying that if they were raised today, they would have been told they have ADHD. He said, in my day, they didn't know what to call it, so my mother just told me, "You're so smart that your tongue can't keep up with what you're trying to send past it." And take the ego side out of that, though. Like, you're so smart, but there is a lot of information I'm trying to send out.
It's more so that you're having so many thoughts that
and that's honestly like I'm not Canada's smartest person. Like that it's not that I'm the smartest person. It's that I can think really quickly and I'm good at multitasking. And that sometimes doesn't express well when you're trying to make a million ideas come out at once.
For sure.
When your brain's multitasking on 5 things and you're trying to get all
do we
want to
touch on Canada's smartest person?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, so for people who don't know me in my story, a couple of years ago, I was on a TV show called Canada's Smartest Person. As a rapper, compared to the other stories on paper from some of the other contestants, I think people viewed me as the underdog. At least the production team seemed to. It was like rocket scientists and university professors
Engineer.
and like a girl who's like 13 and had already invented satellite technology. And,
Yeah.
And then I'm a rapper and I make lyric videos. And what was really cool in the experience is that I won the season premiere. I won my episode. It was a fucking really cool experience. And then I went on the season finale. I did not win. I placed 4th after 3 super geniuses that were like crazy and cool to meet. And I think we'll probably have 1 or 2 of them or all 3 of them on.
That'd be amazing.
One of them's out in Vancouver, so I don't know how often he's here. But Katie lives in Guelph now. She's the girl who won. Tim lives in Montreal. He's super famous on YouTube.
I love Katie. She'd be awesome. To have
So
on.
I'd like to have them both on at some point. And so the whole Canada's Smartest Rapper thing came from that. And I used the Canada's Smartest Person thing a bunch to promote my stuff. But I guess all I was kind of trying to allude to is, I consider myself intelligent, but it's not that I know a lot more than people. In fact, I really don't know anything. But I am a quick thinker. Like that's kind of my thing. Is I can think quickly. And if I was an X-Man, I guess that's my skill.
Yeah.
So
would you say the stuttering is because you're thinking too quickly almost? Because I think
I do.
Me, for example, me compared to you is that I'm comfortable public speaking, but I definitely can hesitate and I can maybe fall under the radar because maybe I don't speak up over other people because I'm more apprehensive about what I have to say and it's not ready yet. So I'll keep it inside and I'll think about it until I'm ready to say it and then I'll say it. Whereas you would just say until,
yeah.
You know
And
what I mean?
I think because I've been this guy for so long, you good?
Yeah.
I think because I've been this guy for so long and with this skill slash, what's the opposite of a skill? It's a problem, right? It's a skill slash problem.
Curse.
Like, right? Yeah, it's a gift and the curse is that I've made it work for me, right?
Yeah.
I've become that guy who can sit down and do something in a single go because the ADD doesn't give me the patience to want to like do it twice. I remember, math class and English class in like grade 8, grade 9, where it's all about process. You remember that time of your life where they're like, it's not about the final answer. It's about doing the math the right way.
Yeah.
And it wasn't about
show your work.
the essay being perfect. It was about the structure. They're always trying to teach you that stuff. And they wanted you to write a first draft, second draft, and then the final draft. Do you remember this?
That's right. Yeah.
Never.
Wow. Super nostalgic.
Never.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Do it.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
I cannot. I'm like, that's insane. I'll write my ideas down right the first time. I'll do the first and second drafts up here in the sense of I'll be like, this is the line, once upon a time there was no, that's cheesy. And I'll figure it out and then I'll put it down. And then that's what you get. That's just, so I kind of made,
you've
I kind
always
of
had
made
a
that
problem
work for
too
me.
with doing something that just to appease. Because to
Yeah.
me, I also kind of agree. I feel like I could write it and just have the first one be the way
Yeah.
that I want it to be.
Totally.
But what I would do is I'd write it really quickly. Then I'd print it when we had
do
printers at
drafts
the
type
time,
thing,
and then
yeah.
I'd underline in red all the stuff that I wanted to change the wording, look up in thesaurus to change a word to a similar word or whatever. And then I would do a second one or whatever just to appease the teacher. But you don't really have that in you.
I
You don't
can't do
want
that.
to appease.
There are certain things I already feel like I appease with. Because a lot of the things that are expected of me are crazy. And so I feel like I appease all of the time.
Give an example.
No, give me a moment. Give me a moment.
Okay.
There's a lot of like the little things where like, you go to I go to the LCBO and they're just like, there's a chip in your card. I can't sell you alcohol.
Right.
I appease her by not being like, that's fucking insane.
Well, yeah, also because you don't want to get arrested.
I know. I just mean like a lot of the time in my day, I'm like, there's a lot of things I think like, oh, this is crazy.
Right.
So when it comes to my actual time, like what am I going to spend my day doing? I can't do that. And that's why I was never good at working at companies because I'm great at running something because I'll do all of the things that are necessary. But if it's not necessary, don't fucking ask me to do it. There's so many like act busy. The idea of telling somebody to like act busy at work or like, like pretend you're busy, to me, that's like psychological torture.
Yeah.
What do you mean act busy? Do nothing and pretend I'm doing something? I don't mean to keep like getting on a soapbox, but like to me, that's crazy.
No, it's interesting just because we're so opposite that way. Like I get the benefits of like, you know what I mean? Like doing these things. I don't know to like.
Why? What's the benefit of acting busy?
Yeah, I don't know.
What they should do is say, if you're not busy, do nothing, save your energy for when we're busy again, and then do something. Because acting busy means you're wasting energy accomplishing
I guess it's
nothing.
the optics of acting busy will encourage other maybe lower down employees to also, try and be their best selves. Whereas if you're just doing nothing, you know what I mean? Like,
But here's, you ready? I'll go deep with you on this.
Okay.
Then what you do is you educate everybody that we're changing the economy of our energy that we're going to exert throughout the day. When we're not busy, do nothing. But then it's on somebody here to make sure we're busy, as in advertising, etc. And if we're not, send people home. And if we're not, advertise better.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But you find a better balance where you're going to be busy. And if you're not busy, then wait for us to be busy again. And it's granted, I think there's a lot of places that are already like this. But I can't tell you how many times I was at an office and someone's like, Anthony, I don't know, like go over your reports. We need it to look like, it's like, that's insane. You should want me to just surf my Facebook and relax for an hour so that when the shit hits the fan on the next big like fire, I'm like ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, for sure. And to be honest, I'm not even criticizing you because that is what makes you a good business person. And I think that's what, I don't know, maybe where I kind of lack sometimes is that I've kind of been built by society to have a certain relationship with work.
Sure.
And you know what I mean? I still kind of use all those old habits, whereas you don't have any.
We're all shaped by our experiences, right? I was largely shaped by, like, my background is I spent some time doing like the retail thing. Like I worked at Old Navy and Little Caesars Pizza. I worked at fucking Randy River for 2 years. For anybody who lives in Canada, Randy River's like, or doesn't live in Canada, Randy River was like the cheesiest male fashion place at the mall. It was like the worst place I probably could have worked. So I did like all that type of stuff. I sold, air conditioners door to door. I did like all the worst jobs in the world. I raked coal. I raked gravel once for a day. But that didn't really shape me. That just kind of gave me the like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
But so then I went to the corporate world and I worked at an ad agency. And so I really have the like agency mindset because already agencies are kind of halfway to where I am now. They're already kind of like, they got one foot out the door. Because
they're outside the box as far as like the regular work day goes.
Totally. Yeah. Because they have half day Fridays. Because why? Because everyone will love each other a little bit better if that's the deal. If you're late, no big deal. No one really asks any questions. If you're late consistently, of course, that's a problem. But it's more about what you're responsible for and less about super stringent like rules that don't make a ton of sense.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And so I already kind of had a little of that in me. And then when I went from that to being self-employed and I realized that I could completely like take apart and reassemble my time, money, and energy and exert less to get a lot more back.
Yeah.
I just have a different POV of the old system now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I've been doing that now for 5 years. So the agency world already kind of like all my bosses were like, hey, Anthony, don't worry. On Friday, we all drink beers at the office and we leave at 3. It's like, oh man, that's amazing. That's a way better way to live.
Yeah.
And then when you kind of step out of that and you get to a spot where you're like, when you create something and get paid for it, whether that's music, whether that's you make movies, whether that's you make necklaces, whatever your thing is, the situation is, I just find there's a lot less of the negative, the like stupid arguments with your boss and like having to park your car at the office and all the other stuff I used to hate that would give me stress on top of my job. All those things just disappear.
Yeah.
And so, I can't help it. I feel this way about, there's only one way to do things. Because I'm like, that's what they say. But as soon as I stopped following those rules, I'm more successful and happier.
Yeah.
The minute I stopped following all of the rules.
For listeners who don't know, when I met Anthony 3.5 or almost 4 years ago now, in a few weeks, it'll be 4 years ago. When I met Anthony, he had already quit his day job and was already working.
For 1 year, right?
I think so. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And was already running his own business. So I didn't know him in any of this advertising days and all that stuff.
But I was fresh out at that point.
And then I was still in the retail / marketing kind of world up until 2 years ago when I also quit my job and now we own a business together. So.
And you still dabbled in day jobbery probably until what? Probably like a year ago, maybe a year and a half.
Yeah. Yeah, for
sure. Now you're fully off the
day jobbery.
Yeah, and it's not to be, and I really never want it to come across as elitist or alienating because I do know just by the sheer nature of what I just said, so many people who are listening, that's how they get paid is by trading hours for money. And I get it.
And if that makes you happy, 100%.
Man, you nailed it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I'm not saying you can't do that. Once in a while, I think about it. Once in a while, I could easily get a job. I don't say easily. I am qualified to get a job at a company like Fontana or Olay or Universal. And I'm like, that would be fun. That'd be cool. And for now, I've opted not to. So I'm just saying, I'm not completely above it. I'm not trying to judge anybody. The key is if you're trading your time, and time is everything, it's all of your time on this planet is the time. You know what I mean? Like this is your time here.
Yeah,
is
that's
the
all we
time.
got.
That's all you got. If you're giving it up, you better be getting compensated so much that your time that you're not there is incredible.
Yeah.
Or you love the thing you're doing so that there's like some synergy of, hey, it pays the bills and I love it.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
I've even said to some people, because sometimes like a young rapper will hit me up and he says, I want to quit my job. I'm like, I want you to know that that's really difficult. And that, so sometimes it's just about finding a job that you love for one reason. Maybe you love it because it's really close to you, to your work, and the guys that work there are cool. Like it's really close to your home and the guys that work there are cool. That's good enough in some ways, because now you're paying your bills and you're going to hang out with some of your best friends.
Life might be harder for you if you quit that job.
Totally.
You know?
But some people don't have any of those boxes checked. They don't love the people they work with.
Yeah.
They don't enjoy the actual day-to-day activity of the job itself. You know, maybe the title's great, but day to day they're just on doing Excel spreadsheets. They don't enjoy the like meat and potatoes of the day to day of the job.
Yeah.
They commute an hour to the job.
Yeah.
And it's like, why? If you reverse engineer any of that stuff, why would you choose that job?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's lots of other jobs.
And especially if you like other stuff better.
Yeah.
If there's something you love better, then quite possibly there might be a different way to arrange your time, money, and resources to do something else and have a better life. You know, not to be on some motivational speakership, but that's honestly, that's my perspective. It's not about hating and judging and being like pointing fingers at. It's about just inspiring to ask the question, you know, am I doing that equation right? My time versus money versus like what I'm doing.
Totally.
When I exchange those two things.
Totally. That brings me to like something that Gary Vee has said before. How do you pronounce his last name?
Vaynerchuk.
Gary Vaynerchuk. So
Shout out Gary Vee.
I'm sure a lot of people listening have heard of him. If you haven't, he's basically a marketing genius, and he just kind of does like public speaking about like how to make it as an entrepreneur and things like that. So he talks about how there's a lot of people who are made to be number ones. And then there's some people who they're very motivated, they're very talented, they're very, business oriented, but they're not necessarily made to be a number one. And what that means is just like the person who's gonna, what would you call it? Like spearhead? What's it called? Who's gonna lead that that movement?
Probably the quality that is most important there, in my experience, is self-starting. Because there's a lot of people who are way smarter than me, have a more balanced intellect. They know things. Maybe they're more educated. But then what I often find is they struggle to start things. They struggle to execute on the thing, to pull the trigger, to go out into the place and build the shop and do the thing. You know what I mean? I'm not saying everybody. There's many people who do those things. The world is full of billionaires. But you just meet people like that who have great ideas.
I'm just
and they
kind
don't
of saying,
execute.
like the people who say to you, like, "Oh, I'm also going to quit my job." It's like you just need to be very self-aware. It's like whether you're going to be one of those people or whether you're not.
Well, that's two things, because on the 1 versus 2 tip, I just meant that's the difference. Is it's just the same intellect, but one person is great at running out there and making the thing happen.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And now for those people, the real story in that case, and if you're one of those people listening right now, this is perfect time for me to say it. Because if I say it right now, and you're a young rapper listening, or a young musician listening, or even like say a young photographer, I think there's a commonality there. I can say it now, and you won't think it's about you, because you didn't just send me a song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's almost impossible.
Yeah.
I'm really resourceful. I figured out several businesses I could start off of the music business to make money.
On the negative side, he's a workaholic.
Yeah.
So
no, I go. You
know what I mean? Like he's like
I sacrificed everything.
He's obsessed with it, and it becomes negative some point.
We're not going to have kids. It gets deep.
Yeah.
Like I literally sacrifice everything, and it's constantly. And anytime that there's a few thousand extra, it all goes back in, and all of that.
Yeah.
So if you're somebody coming at it and you're just like shy and unsure, and you don't have any ideas how to approach it from a new angle, you have no ideas how to make money off of it, it's almost impossible. And so it's like, when a young person hits me up like that, I partly want to say, of course, keep going, because I support the art. And honestly, it's not about the money. for years I made music, that was never even a conversation. And the only reason I now is because I want to make enough money to cover the costs of going on the road and doing the fun stuff, right? So, but it's almost impossible. And so that's just a reality check that I think everybody's just got to keep. And people know that, but how many people have you met through me or through the music industry who's a name? They're a name that people would be like excited to meet, and they have nothing. Whether that means that they're, they've got, hand-me-down looking clothes on, or they've got, a day job that they're embarrassed to tell people about.
Yeah, and we're not going to name any names.
No. I'm not talking shit. I'm just saying
a lot of your heroes, aren't necessarily making millions. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, their name and all that stuff, but it's just like it takes more than just people knowing your name to make a living that you can, feed yourself off of. And sorry, I feel like I didn't properly explain the number 1 and number 2 thing. My point and Gary V's point is that being a number 2 is okay.
Yeah,
being
great.
a number 3 is okay. Being like, let's say Steve Jobs is number 6 is amazing. That's an amazing accomplishment. Money. So I think it's just being self-aware enough to know where you stand kind of in the business world, if that makes any sense.
Because when you're self-aware about where you would bring the most value, then you can get the most back for it, right? Because someone like me, for example, and I think this is really interesting because it's a different way of looking at value. Because I think I'm a 1, but in some of that is a negative. Like, I'm not good at working for people. That's one of the reasons.
Yeah.
I'm chronically ambitious. Every time I learn about something new, my brain tries to break it apart and find all the ways I could make money at that thing. And so I think some of those attributes make me a 1. But some of the people who I know who are way more intelligent than me and more successful than me, I think they're probably 2s, but that's why they work at some huge company and they become the director of whatever at Twitter.
Because they're happy to work for someone else. Whereas
maybe they couldn't start a Twitter.
Yeah.
They're not going to be the next guy to start the next Twitter, but he's crushing it.
Yeah.
And having an amazing time at a fucking historic
because
company.
He's willing to work for someone else, which you aren't. So that it has its negatives and positives.
That's all I'm trying to say. It's like the yin. It's almost like a yin yang versus like a better and worse. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Good point. Well said, Jess.
Thanks.
I was over here trying to light these joints, but it's not going well.
I'll have a little bit now since we're probably drawing near the end, and
I love it.
It won't matter if I'm super high.
I love it. So let me just talk about one last thing on my side.
Yeah, for sure.
Because maybe if you're listening to this point, that means you fuck with me, and maybe you can help. So I have been struggling for some time to find my barber soulmate. Here's the problem. All I really want is somebody who can help me make my facial hair look consistently great. And I guess my hair as well, because I want to fade as well. And that sounds really easy, but honestly, at this point, I'm up to like 8 barbershops, and I've had mixed results from they don't know what that is to an old man who shaved my beard off by accident to essentially the equivalent of like a first choice haircutters, but under the guise of like a hipster barbershop.
Yeah.
And I never get mad. I always tip them well. I tipped this girl $6 today, and I didn't get what I wanted. I look fine, but as you can see, it's not even clean.
Yeah, it's what you could do it.
I could have done it. It's on the side. I'm a little bit more.
The back looks nice, which you couldn't have done yourself.
No, but only because of biology, because I can't reach.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? In theory, you could have done it.
Yeah.
And I tipped her well, and all I'm saying, and I said that 5 times like a douche. I just mean that like I wasn't a dick about it. Like, fuck, you fucked up my facial hair.
Yeah.
No, I'm like, thank you. And then in my head, I go, another one off the list. I haven't found it yet.
The thing that shocks me is that these places, sometimes they have the word barber in the name. Like that one we went to, I don't know if it was in San Francisco or whatever last year.
It was San Diego, actually.
San Diego. It was called like the so-and-so famous barber shop, and it was like this famous like, celebrity. Yeah, it was like the celebrity barber, and they have multiple locations and stuff. And it has one of those things at the front of the barber shop, the little twirly, little red and blue twirly thing, little tube, like North Pole type twirly thing. So when a place has that, you would think that they own a straight razor.
I think you have to. I believe you have to show up to pick yours
There's
up.
been 2 times, or maybe more, but
Today
there's been 2 times
3.
that I was there that we've gone to a place to get your fade done, and they've been like, sorry, we don't have straight razors here. It's like, then you can't advertise yourself as a barber.
Take down your barber pole now.
I kind of feel like that, though. Like, am I wrong? Like, honestly, Twitter us, whatever, write to us if I'm wrong.
Damage Goods Pod, tell us.
But how can you promote yourself as a barber shop and not do any work with straight razors?
Yeah, I don't
you
know.
only use the clippers.
And by the way, you're getting really heated right now.
I'm really heated about it.
I think we
I
should
just feel
put
like it's false advertising.
within proportion, because this is certainly first world problems.
Yes, it really is.
But I do feel you, and I actually appreciate you getting up on the soapbox for me.
Yeah.
But so I guess what I'm asking is, am I doing it wrong? So in my experience, the closest I've come, I had a guy for a minute. Mm-hmm. He's now left the country, so I've now lost him. But he was great, and he was a barber at what I would say is the quote unquote like black barber shop.
Yeah.
But I've tried a couple of other black barber shops with not as good results. And it feels weird to profile my barbershops by color.
No, but when you're getting a fade.
No,
like
yeah.
that
It is, all I'm saying is I guess the whole process is kind of weird and funny because I'm like looking up these and I'm like by the name on Google Maps, I'm like, does this sound like a black barbershop?
Yeah.
And I'm calling him like, does he sound
and
black?
like you said, a lot of the good
know?
ones are ones that aren't Googleable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're just
Real talk.
they're a barbershop locally on your, in your
And they're not
local
even on
area,
Google
but they're
Maps.
not on Google. They're just there.
Yeah, so my struggle continues. If you live in Toronto and you know of a really good barber, somebody who understands the idea of using a straight razor to line up my shit perfectly, give me a fade, help me deal with my male pattern baldness, fade that a little bit like my old guy used to do for me. Let me know. And if you're having the same problem, let me know. Is this a thing that is hard to do? Because every time I'm trying to find something, like with these glasses, I was trying to find just big frame glasses. I went to so many stores and they just looked at me like I was crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, is this not an option? Is nobody coming through here looking for fashionable
I think that
big
we're
frames?
a little bit spoiled with Instagram and stuff because we see, like, for example, I'll sometimes just like scroll through like people who do fades, like their Instagram, because there's a lot of like cool stuff, like cool like designs and stuff. And it's just like, and I feel like they should be everywhere, but I think they're not everywhere. Not places that do really good fades aren't everywhere. And it's the same thing with like designer big glasses that you wear. It's like we see them all over Instagram, but they don't exist everywhere necessarily.
So I had to get them to take the sunglass frames out of these ones to make them into optical frames.
I love them. They look
and
so
I'm
good.
happy. So I solved this problem, which was for a long time was a mission. And so now the barber mission continues. If you can help me, let me know. That's my last 2 cents. That's all I got to say. I swing the mic out.
Are we done? Is that what that means?
I don't know. Should I check the time? How far are we?
Yeah,
how
check the
far are
time.
we? Let me
check the time. So he's about to go check the time. I'm going to give another shout out to 416 Coffee with their longest road blend that I tried. Very good. 416-coffee.com.
Let's do another 15, 20 minutes.
Okay.
We're at like an hour.
So that was a little freebie sponsor in the middle.
Okay, you know what I want to talk about?
What do you want to talk about?
And I don't want to try to just talk my ass off and not give you any space, but I really wanted to bring this one up.
No, it's okay. Bring it up.
So I don't like a lot of things, right? Like I suck at video games. I don't like sports. I tried playing poker. I lost all my money in like a week. I put $50 in. I lost it all. And so I like stuff, but I'm either not good at it or I can't get into it. And we watch a lot of TV and movies, but we burn through it. And so recently I got really into something, and I'm enjoying it quite a bit. And it's for my new Samsung phone. Where is it here? I got the new, I guess it's not that new anymore, but it's the S8 Plus. Mm-hmm. And I got the Samsung Gear VR, and I'm so into it. Like I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it so much. And as a guy who doesn't play video games, I can't get into any video games. It's been really interesting to get hooked to this. And I guess I just wanted to talk about a little bit about the ways that it's different. And also to put that out into the universe that if there's other people out there who play on this network, I don't have any friends. I'm just playing against like randoms. So I would love to play against people who...
Is it a specific game? What's the game called?
My favorite game is Laser Tag Arena.
Is it what it sounds like?
Oh, babe, it is so... I mean, you've seen me in the chair.
I've seen you. I haven't seen what the game looks like.
But you've seen me in the chair going in.
We have I guess a wheelie like spinny
chair.
A swivel chair. Yes.
Yeah. Not this one.
So we can do full 360s around while we're playing VR.
And what's so cool about Laser Tag Arena? There's two things I want to say about it. The first one is it's absolutely free. It's the only game of its level that I've ever played with this level of like addictiveness to it. where they asked me for $0 and there's no ads and there's nobody trying to get money out of me. So first of all, if you're thinking about like, if you want to get in, to me that's a big sell point. You got to buy the headset. I bought it for $150 off of Kijiji or Craigslist or something, but then the game is free. And then what the game is, it's like laser tag arena, right? So it starts like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then it opens up and you're in the arena, and it's all pixelated because it is playing off your phone, right? So it's not as good as the really big VR systems that they got. It's more pixelated, kind of like maybe like N64. Remember where shit was almost like all like hexagons
like
and octagons,
cubey,
very very cubey. That's a great way to say it. Well said, Jess. So you wake up and you're there, and there's like 8 or 10 people all over this level. And here's what's really cool about it. I'm really enjoying VR. They solved a problem that the other games in its category hadn't solved in the VR, at least for the phone that I've played. Is she being bad?
No, she's okay.
Okay. Is when you want to get around the level, what you do is you take your controller and you shoot the ground, and he pops up off the ground.
Okay.
And then you scroll and you move forward, you scroll and you back, so you can kind of fly. What's great about that is it just basically means that you're going around through the game going, shoot the ground, fly, bang, bang, and you're flying through the air, and you're picking off like this dude from Sweden and this guy over here from Detroit. And, and then you land, and I got the swivel chair, so I'm like, oh, I'm going to break something. But I swivel all around, and it's just so much fun. And it's not like video games. It reminds me of when we play laser tag.
Mm-hmm. Like actual laser tag.
Because we played a couple of times. And what's really weird about laser tag, and in this journey of self-discovery that everyone's going to take with me, I'm really fucking good at it. And I'm more being like exploratory than like trying to brag. I'm not good at anything that would indicate to you I should be great at laser tag.
Not good at sports.
I don't play sports. I'm not great at sports. I'm not good at video games.
No interest in guns.
If you give me Call of Duty, I will last the shortest amount of time that you can die in. Whatever the shortest amount of time you can die in, that's how fast I will die in Call of Duty. But then I play laser tag, and sure, yeah, I know what you're thinking. 2 listeners in Ireland that we have. It's kids. And yeah, it's kids. But some of those kids go hard. And I
don't think it's necessarily
it's not
kids,
always it's not always kids. But put it this way, it's not necessarily always like pro athletes that I'm going against.
Of course.
But I always place first or second, and the only reason that's significant is it's compared to the dying in record times in everything else. And so then when I played this game and I'm really good at it, I'm excited about the future of VR because I think I'm going to be fucking good at it. I think I'm going to be good at whatever comes next.
So you're good if it's a little bit more like interactive and real-ish.
I think I would have been a good spy. That's what that tells me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I would have been a good spy if I had gotten into the spy trade.
What? Why does that tell you that?
Because I can jump, spin around, and pick a motherfucker off.
Is that what spies do?
I think they assassinate people and kill them sometimes.
I guess like Atomic Blonde style.
Yeah, come on. James Bond has jumped and shot motherfuckers.
I know. I was giving the woman a shout out.
I know, but you're just questioning it when we have several examples.
Yeah, you're right. My favorite games, if anyone's listening, this isn't really a conversation I can have with you because you don't play the game.
No, but sure, but that was my one-sided talk about video games. Give me yours.
Mass Effect. So I've played Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, and then there's the newer Mass Effect. Is it Armageddon? It's something with an A.
How new is it?
It's like last year. Like it's been out for a bit.
Do they have another one coming out?
I'm not sure.
We should get whatever system it's on.
Yeah. So right now we just have the Xbox 360.
Yeah, we're running one system behind everybody else right
which
now.
has Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, but unfortunately will not play the new Mass Effect.
As I've said, I don't play video games, and you seem quite happy to play the games from like 2009.
Yeah.
So, but I think probably the prices of the Xbox Ones are super reasonable. So I've been contemplating us getting an Xbox One just for fun. It's like $300 and it comes with games and shit. And it's one lyric video, so we can easily do that.
Would you say that you don't like games with a story really to play personally?
I don't like games based on my ability to not be able to play them. So the games that I'm good at, I don't mind too much. So for example, games that have a fair bit of freedom, like for example, I'm a kind of a basketball fan, and you can play basketball forever even if you're not good at it. You don't die every 5 seconds, you know what I mean? You just lose the game. Yeah. And so I'm okay at basketball because I can play it and kind of get into the rhythm.
Find some sports games like way harder than regular games.
Yeah, and it's just a different skill set because you do have to learn the buttons and all that, but you don't die so quickly.
I also play. I'm not a like super game nerd that I don't need any bragging rights. I play it on story mode, which is basically I think there's sometimes even easy, and then one step below easy is story mode, and it essentially means you almost can't die. Like you're doing the same things as you would do. You're shooting the same enemies. You're beating the same bosses.
Sure,
but they die easier.
But it's easy AF.
You have more like your health doesn't die as quickly and things like that. Yeah, so it's just easier. But anyways, why did I bring that up? Because because I like games that have a story, but they're still very easy. So I'm wondering, when you watch me play Mass Effect, do you have any interest or no?
I think they're really interesting. Like I have interest in it as a concept.
Yeah.
Like I think it's really interesting that they make these games and that they have the story level of movies and that they're kind of passing. In a way, I think they're kind of passing movies.
Yeah.
In that, if the stories are as good as movies,
so much more
but
content.
You're more interactive and there's all these different possible endings. So I think that you look at how much money some of these games generate, they really are massive. And so I'm interested in it from that perspective. I kind of nerd out for the business side. I kind of nerd out for the technology side. I like seeing how far graphics have come. I've been waiting a long time for VR, even just from that perspective of like, I can't wait to see how cool it is, and it's here and it's fucking cool, and I love it. And so when you play games, I think it's cool, but when they say that people like what they're good at, you know what I mean? And when I play a game, put it this way: whenever there's a story and I'm like running through like these hills and I gotta get all the treasure chests, and you're running, that's a million games, right? I never can find the path to the next place. I'm always like caught behind trees, and I go over here like, oh, maybe it's nothing. It's like a dead end. I don't know why they put it there. And then I can never get to the part where you go through and it like takes you to the next stage.
You also, we talked about this a little bit earlier. You also hate wasting time. So I feel like if you got stuck in a level where you had to do the same thing over and over again, you would just get bored and stop playing.
I'm getting annoyed right now just thinking about the times I've gotten annoyed.
Whereas, I don't mind playing the same level 4 times over until I get it right. It's like, it's rewarding to me to be able to do it,
I do. I'm perusing my list of stuff now.
Your list of topics. How much time are we on when you look?
We're probably right now we're like an hour and 35 minutes.
I feel like if you're just singing into the microphone,
I don't have anything, and I feel really good about it tonight. I think the last thing I will say about it actually is on the subject of just having 2 of us on the podcast. I think this was really cool, and I enjoy the dynamic. And we're certainly not going to stop bringing people in because I think that will help us switch things up, and we'll talk about things we otherwise wouldn't get into. Paul made us talk about hella shit I probably never would have thought to talk about.
I feel like we laughed less with just me and you, and I think that's just because I don't know.
No, but we made more points.
We made more. Yeah, we had more consistent conversations that kind of had a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yeah,
and maybe less shenanigans, which I guess.
We should do, because my only criticism of us, and I think this is a fun time to do the criticism of us, is at the end of the podcast, is we don't have a good sense of how far into the podcast we are. So I think we should get some kind of like
a little stopwatch,
or even just a clock, so that we know if it says it's 6 o'clock, I will know that it's 6 o'clock and that it's 8 o'clock. Or whatever.
We shouldn't have to say.
So that's I think that's a good step for next time.
So for anyone who's listening, you are with us in the early stages. Thank you very much.
We're trying our very best here, man.
We're trying our best, and we're going to grow, and you're going to hopefully grow with us.
I love y'all. If you happen to live in California, come mess with me. If you happen to live in Toronto, April 20th, come see me live. I don't want any of your money. If you message me, I'll happily put you on a guest list. I'm not trying to get monies out of you. I just want you to come hang out.
And what's your Instagram?
At IllVibe on Instagram, IllVibe Music on Twitter.
And our Instagram is?
Damaged Goods Podcast. Sorry, Damaged Goods Pod on all social media.
Yeah, Instagram, Twitter.
If you're on the new social media Vero, you can add us.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I'm IllVibe Heavy Ox. You're Jess Robert, right?
We should have talked about Vero.
No, we'll talk about it more next time, because hopefully by next time it'll be working and we'll know more about it.
Totally.
But yeah, add us up. We're on all that stuff, and we love to interact. if you do follow us on Instagram, get ready. We're going to be posting lots from California. We have a lot of traveling coming up, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to be posting lots. Follow along. Much love. We're going to do more of this, me and you. This is super fun. Love you. Love you guys. Peace.
Bye.